If you ever look up articles ranking all the Dragon Ball films, you will quickly start to recognize some regulars at the bottom of the list. There's usually some of the original Dragon Ball series films, which are just sort of weird, out of time, and not really what people want out of the show. You'll see Dragon Ball Evolution, of course, a film so bad that it dragged Toriyama back into a franchise he left behind. And then you'll usually see Bio Broly. This was the third of a trilogy of movies focused on Broly, a legendary Super Saiyan, a concept never really explained to anyone's satisfaction. It currently sits at a comfortable 5.9 on IMDb, and it's not hard to understand why. It's got a bare-bones plot that deftly dodges any opportunities of interesting fights. It reduces an already simple, one-note character into what amounts to a mindless zombie. And maybe worst of all, it doesn't star any of the fan-favorite heroes that headline all the other films. I adore Android 18. She deserves a spotlight, and all the focus she gets in Dragon Ball Super is a real treat, but she is not film star material, and neither are Little Trunks and Goten, who don't even fuse in this film. The cast is rounded out by Mr. Satan and Krillin, both of whom have their merits, but just are not enough. But, much like Batman, a lot of the fun of DBZ comes from its villains, right? Well, as I said, Broly already doesn't have much going for him. Once his visuals lose their novelty, he doesn't actually have much of a personality, and what little he has is stripped from him in this film. It's not even technically the real Broly, it's a clone. A clone transformed into a boring, lumbering sludge monster. Besides Broly, there's a batch of Bio Warriors, who are nearly featureless humanoid slugs that do and say nothing of interest. The whole orchestration is led by a Lord Jaguar, a pretty standard rich guy villain who is mostly comic relief. So, okay, but even boring characters can get embroiled in an interesting plot, right? Is it Dragon Ball silly? The plot of most of the movies usually boils down to, our heroes have gone somewhere new, now they have to fight someone. Can they summon the Spirit Bomb or perform the fusion dance in time? Basically, Mr. Satan is blackmailed into participating in Lord Jaguar's private tournament, featuring a line of bioengineered super soldiers. Android 18, who has been trying to get from Satan the money he promised her in the 25th World Martial Art Tournament, follows along to make sure he doesn't use this as an excuse to run away, and she's tailed by Trunks and Goten. Offered yet more money by Satan to fight in his stead, 18 ends the tournament early, and she, along with the kids, easily dispatch the whole roster of Bio Warriors. Now, Jaguar unveils his ultimate Bio Warrior, a clone of the Saiyan Broly, grown from samples sold to him by Maloja, a priest from the previous Broly film. Broly's power causes an accident in the facility in which the Bio Warriors are made, and a spill of the biofluid corrupts him into a mindless, lumbering monster. As the fight escalates, the fluid spreads, absorbing and disintegrating all life that it touches. Even with Krillin showing up to help, our heroes can't get the upper hand in combat until Trunks gets Broly covered in the fluid, disintegrating him as well. Everyone escapes the island, but the fluid continues to grow and threaten all life on Earth. When it's discovered that contact with seawater petrifies the biofluid, our heroes manage to put an end to him. Before I go on, something's bugging me. The film's very last scene is Goku in the other world, being told that Broly is now making a mess in Hell. Did he just show up? Is this the soul of Broly's clone? Did the soul of the original Broly show up in Hell previously? Or did Broly's soul get trapped on Earth because it knew it would have to be reborn as a Bio Warrior? I'm glad this movie isn't canon, because those are some weird implications that clearly aren't very well thought out. So, that's the gist of the movie. I've saved you 47 sleepy minutes. The question now is, how can we fix this? Let's say Toei Animation gave us a bunch of animation money and said, for whatever reason, you have to remake Bio Broly. Do it, or we kill Launch. We're going to bring her back, but if you don't do this, we'll just... into the vat of acid she goes, so you better do it. One thing this film has is potential. Missed potential is one of the most bothersome media sins to me, because it teases the viewer with hints of a much better experience that we're missing out on. Star Trek Voyager has this problem. Within its DNA is the code of an incredibly dark, dramatic, and compelling narrative of survival, and it just does not deliver. Bio Broly, I think, is similar, because when you break it down, what does it have? The DNA of this story features a tournament arc, a foundational pillar of the franchise. It features genetically engineered warriors, which is fertile soil for all sorts of creative enemies. It stars a unique threat, something novel that the Z Warriors have to fight against. And finally, it takes place after the Buu arc, which means all our major characters are alive and available to go on a weird adventure. So, here's what we do. We take all the seeds this basic plot has planted, and we expand them out to a short arc of regular anime episodes taking place after the Boo arc, but before anything in Super happens. We start with fancy, embossed invitations arriving at the door of many of our heroes. Invitations to a small fighters tournament held on a private island with a huge cash prize. Some aren't interested as they're trying to move on with their lives. Others seem eager because their last tournament was basically robbed from them by Babidi's schemes. Mr. Satan, however, has no choice, because included in his invitation is subtle evidence that this Lord Jaguar person has dirt on him. He's blackmailed into going. And if he's going, then Android 18 is going, because she has not forgotten the money that Mr. Satan promised her. And if she's going, then you know Krillin's going. And so by the time the tournament is set, many of our heroes have arrived. Welcoming his guests and fighters with a lavish feast, Lord Jaguar explains the unique conditions of the tournament. They won't be fighting each other, not yet. He is thrilled to announce that they will be helping him test a new breed of soldier, beings genetically designed to be perfect warriors, though their identities are kept secret for now. Our heroes are spoiled by comfortable sleeping quarters to be fully rested in time for the tournament the next day, but while most relax and train, Goten and Trunks get anxious. Something's not right and they know it. In the middle of the night, they sneak around the island. They break into a strange warehouse. They're almost caught and have to escape, but not before catching a glimpse of something strange. Some huge, tailed fighter, held in captivity. The sun rises, and the tournament begins. Each fighter is paired off, not against each other, but against Lord Jaguar's creations. Bio-warriors. Bizarre humanoid things that seem like an amalgamation of different species, and featuring some parts of the heroes themselves. See, it's slowly revealed that, much like Dr. Gero in the creation of Cell, Jaguar has been developing warriors based on genetic samples of the world's top fighters. Maybe he discreetly collected samples from actual tournaments, or maybe he straight up acquired material from Gero's lab, not quite as destroyed as we thought. Point is, this is where a lot of the fun meat of this mini-arc lies. Instead of generic, easily disposed warriors, who literally don't have any lines besides grunting, our Bio-warriors can display all sorts of mixed powers and strengths, abilities stolen from genetic memory. One can do a Namekian arm stretch, another tries to absorb its opponent, maybe powers like invisibility or Jiren's gum attack, new and improved against our superpowered heroes, can make a return. It's a fun chance for throwbacks to ancient enemies from the original Dragon Ball. That's part of the magic that Dragon Ball lost as it aged. Its few original tournaments had a lot of variety, a lot of strange and exciting powers that the heroes couldn't just punch their way out of. This variety would eventually return with the Tournament of Power, but it could return here too, as it implies that Jaguar has been scouring the earth, stealing any samples he felt worthy of integrating into his Bio-warriors. Tournaments also provide for a lot of fun moments between characters to test their skills and work out their issues. Surely most, but not all, of our heroes will win against their strange Bio-warrior opponents, which means before we bring out the big guns, we get to see them square off. Perhaps this is a chance for Piccolo to see that Gohan has been slacking off with his training. Maybe we get to see what new and fun abilities the kids have developed. Maybe, if we were to branch out into a bit of alternate Dragon Ball history, we get to see Videl in this tournament, stronger than ever, and slowly catching up with the boys. The fact that the Bio-warriors have a lot of the essence of the heroes leads for some fun possibilities too, if they are to start developing personalities of their own. You can get an imposter Vegeta warrior, or maybe one of the more childish personalities of Goten or young Goku, infused with some hulking, draconic beast of a fighter. If we go down that road, then it's easy to imagine that at least one of the Bio-warriors ends up not quite as evil as the others. Maybe too much of Goku's heroism, or Piccolo's stoic nature, bleeds into one, and we get a warrior willing to really talk with the heroes, maybe even make friends. This can open up some fun questions about the nature of the Bio-warriors. Are they all truly evil? Are they slaves? Do they even have free will? Perhaps this one noble fighter could be someone to turn to the side of good. If we had absolute ages to really indulge in a full tournament, then it could be that the final winner has to face off against Jaguar's ultimate champion. Or, as is often tradition with these things, maybe something derails the tournament partway through, and the ultimate threat is unleashed early. Either way, in the end, Jaguar reveals his ultimate creation, Broly, a refinement of pure genetic Saiyan power. Now, whether or not his appearance here would rely on the first two Broly films being canonized, or if he is something entirely created by Jaguar is largely irrelevant. The real point is that our heroes face a strange new threat, an amalgamation of their Saiyan DNA, distilled into raw and untethered rage. Now, Broly isn't really known for his restraint, so this would spell quick disaster for Jaguar's whole estate, and in the chaos is where a fun, dark revelation can take place. All the Bio-warriors after their defeat, taken away after the shame of their destruction, we find them reduced to a bubbling swamp of genetic ooze, each failure melted into a giant vat of Bio-warrior putty. And of course, when the heroes finally manage to get the upper hand against Broly, this is where he goes. And as he seemingly disintegrates into the vat, victory seems assured, until the ooze begins to swell and glow and spread, as its now combined energy of all the warriors makes the genetic amalgamation grow out of control. Now, much like in the movie, this is not the type of enemy our heroes know how to fight. They can't just blast it, they can't even touch it, so after rescuing as many scientists as they can, they must find a way to deal with this thing that slowly overtakes the whole island, adding all life and matter into its mass. How do they defeat it? Seawater is a pretty boring weakness. Lots of ways to forbid them from just wishing it away as well. Remember, Shenron couldn't even wish away Vegeta and Nappa on the way to Earth. The power difference was too extreme even back then, and Broly and the Bio-Warriors had to be strong enough to at least somewhat contend with Super Saiyan 3 fighters. If the Spirit Bomb hadn't just been used as the solution to the Buu arc, that could have been one retro way to end this threat, getting the spirit of the Earth to defend itself against ecological disaster. Maybe the evil containment wave makes a comeback. Maybe they brute force it, and all our present heroes use their energy together to lift the damn thing into space and into the sun. Maybe they just tell Buu to eat it? Actually, Buu absorbing the horrid biomass, getting corrupted by the implied evil of it all, and then having to expel it into a compressed, fightable final villain could work just fine. What about this? Remember our noble, almost hero warrior who maybe befriended the main cast? Their mind would be inside this amalgamation too. Now, on the cusp of ecological disaster across the whole world, whoever befriended this warrior can appeal to them, beg them to take control and stop what's happening. Inner turmoil can break out as the mind of this now heroic bio-warrior rebels against the rest, maybe putting a stop to it all, or maybe opening up a weakness just long enough for the heroes to strike against the mind of Broly and stomp the rampant spread of this genetic disaster. This allows for a lot of different themes to be present, like love or friendship or even paternal instinct. Either way, this would allow for a solution that isn't punch it harder this time. With the disaster averted and the world saved, Lord Jaguar can easily be apprehended, assuming he doesn't get eaten alive by his own creation, a DBZ tradition and a real temptation. A tight adventure gets neatly wrapped up, and it even opens up future opportunities, because who's to say no Bio-Warrior can't somehow later emerge from the dried up corpse of the amalgamation. Maybe our hero Bio-Warrior could even return, a sliver of their mind able to escape and slowly regrow, able to begin a real life. Maybe this is too much. This is not an easy fix to a bad movie, and really is more just fan fiction, but I stand by the idea that the seeds of a good plot do rest in this movie, and this is just one approach as to how one could salvage them. Now please, just cut Launch down, she did nothing wrong. Let me know what you all think. How would you salvage this movie, this plot? Are there other abandoned threads or botched movies in the series that you think could be expanded? If you want an alternate take on fixing this movie, a method that ties the basic idea of it more into the new canon Broly introduced in Super, Masako X did a video like that a few years ago, so check the description for a link to his approach. I have more videos coming up, including one about a very popular anime, so be sure to subscribe. I don't have any other DBZ videos planned right now, but I could be persuaded. Until next time, take care of yourself.